Hello, beautiful humans. Katie McKenzie, pronouns she, her. And another little educational piece for you. This is the knee fold. We get often asked why we direct the knee fold the way that we do and why it's so important to have the knee placed right over the hip. So we just decided that we need to go into a little bit more detail so that we can give you the why behind our direction and the reasoning why we want your body in the position we want it in. So with that being said, I'm going to get down on my back. Again, like with all of these educational videos, I'd really actually recommend that you watch it first and then walk through it with me and feel it in your own body so that you can actually see what I mean and then feel into it. So I'm going to lie down on my back. We're going to start with my legs long and hands down beside the hips. So shoulders up towards the ears and then pull the shoulders down the back. Slight little cervical nod here, just that I want to have my chin down a little bit more into a level position, length out through the back of the head, and my back of the head is connected into the floor. Point the toes, take a deep inhale, maintaining neutral, that little mouse house. Exhale, lift through the pelvic floor, knit rectum, perineum, abdominals to slide the legs in. So this is a leg slide into knee fold. Okay, so very important with our knee fold that our knee lands right over our hip. We do not want to have our knee in towards the chest. Now I want you to see actually just what happens in my body when I pull my knee into my chest. I grip into my hip. And then actually it's really hard for me not to tuck my tailbone and push my spine in. So what we end up doing is hypercontracting through the pelvic floor, gripping into our hip flexor and our quad, and we take tension into our trap and our neck. So the second that I bring my knee into a tabletop position, gravity is working in my favor. My bone, my femur bone is stacked. Knee is over the hip. My core is activating, which is what we want to have work in this position, and I can maintain my neutral pelvis and spine. So right away, you can see I'm getting deep core activation. Now, if you've ever been in a class and a instructor cues you, if you're feeling this movement all in your back, just push your spine down into the floor. Do you immediately see what just happened there? I push my spine into the floor. I pull my knee into my chest. I'm gripping into my hip and my quad, and I actually can't get core connection. It's locked. It's loaded. I don't have range of motion. Okay, because as far as I can do, I can come up into further flexion in my spine, but there's no movement happening in my core. So if I maintain my neutral spine, knee over hip, and then I'm going to bring my hands behind my head so you can really see what's happening in my body. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, lift up. Then I can inhale, breathe. Exhale, shh. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, shh. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, shh. Okay, I'm going to show you what happens when I bring my knees into my chest. Inhale, breathe, exhale, shh. Can you see actually I start to dome? So I still have a little bit of diastasis, which is something that I'll be working with a lot if I don't activate properly in my core. So when I pull my knees into my chest and then I try to do any sort of additional core connection, there's too much intra-abdominal pressure. The body does not have enough movement or space to engage. So my hip flexors are firing. Quads are firing, and actually, believe it or not, I'm just pulling on my head. I'm feeling this all in my neck and my shoulders. So try this if you want at home, okay? But now we're gonna move into the other movement that's more accurate, where we put our knee over our hip, and then watch what now happens with my core. Inhale, breathe, exhale, shh. Inhale, breathe, exhale, shh. Inhale, breathe, exhale, shh. And I have no tightness happening in my hip flexor and quad. Now, if you're habitually over time have a ton of tightness there on its own, you can let the knees go out towards the side, and that opens and takes that out of engagement and really fires the core. I'm going to slowly inhale, breathe, exhale, articulate my spine back down. Hands come down beside the hips. Inhale, breathe. And then exhale, I'm going to bring my legs down. Okay. So feet flat on the floor. We're in that position and our spine is neutral. So another thing that I want you to realize is that's the exact same position we want for dead bug. So dead bug, we don't want to have our knees coming in towards our chest if we want our core to work. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, maintain my neutral spine to actually be able to engage my core to pull one leg up. Inhale, breathe. Exhale, other leg up. Then I reach my hands up towards the sky and my dead bug. So inhale, I'm reaching one arm, one leg. Exhale, I'm pulling in. Shh. Other side. Inhale, reach. Exhale, shh. Now watch what happens to my body if I pull my knees into my chest. Okay? I'm not exaggerating that movement, my friends. Now I've hypercontracted. I've shrunk my core. And remember, true strength is length as well as connection. And we want to be able to walk around and strengthen and power our body. Sorry, how we want to walk around the world. Do I want to walk around the world curled over? No, I want to walk around in a beautiful, long, neutral pelvis and spine where my body has power and strength in ease. And if we go further into this, habitual patterns in life is that we're sitting at the desk all the time. We're sitting in chairs. We're constantly in this position, if you really think about it. So why would we continue to strengthen and power and shorten the front line of our body when we want to find that nice length? So coming into here, we allow our core to move through. Okay, same thing happens when we go into cross body. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, knit my abdominals up. Now, a key thing with cross body is it's not about actually getting the knee to the elbow. What it is about getting external oblique connection and balance. So I want to lengthen one leg long, or you have your foot down on the ground. Either or, whatever works better for you. And my friends, if this position is all your back, then bend the knee, place the foot on the floor. That's okay. I'd rather see you in this beautiful neutral pelvis position. So I'm going to lengthen out. Inhale, breathe, exhale, cross body. Whew. Right away. See the engagement of my body? I'm shaking. I'm connected. It's my oblique that's actioning the move. The other key important part is that now I can keep my pelvis stable. I'm not rocking hip to hip in this movement. Coming back to center and then switching other side. Okay? Now look immediately. I'm going to do it on this angle. What happens when I bring my knee to my chest? Do you see how I tuck my tailbone? Everything curves. This is all grippy and I start to puff. This puffs instead of being knit and drawn in. It puffs. So I'm lengthening out and see immediately I can get that flattening of my abdominals, drawing to the center line in the movement. And I'm getting that deep cross-body external oblique engagement. Push, push, push. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Pull in. Now I'm going to come down because I actually want to allow my body to open. So in this position, I'm going to get a little more flexion in my spine, okay? Because I do understand my multifidus, the abs of my spine worked. And I want them to engage to also support my core. So that's why we stay in that neutral pelvis position, long, engaged body. So the interesting thing is the other is that position is actually our quadruped position, just flipped. So I'm going to do a Pilates roll up because it's my favorite transitional movement. Inhale, breathe. Exhale to roll. Transitional movement up. Okay? And then I'm going to come into your quadruped position. So it's the exact same thing, my friends, is that we want our knees sitting under our hip, our wrists and our hands sitting underneath our shoulder so that our bones are stacked so that we're not taking pressure into our wrists, we're not taking pressure into our hip joints, we're actually allowing the musculature to act as it's designed to act, to support the bone, to support the body and action as it should. So hands underneath shoulders. We open up our hands and think like big tree trunks and stumps. We want a wide base to support. Then I place my knees underneath my hips. All too often when we see movements happen in a quadruped position, the hips are falling out from one side to another. Then you're allowing also your knees to walk too far away. Now there's my back, or we're sinking back. And then it's all quad and hip. So we really want to stack those bones. We allow the shoulder blades to come down the back, soften the elbows, and right away my core can fire up. My rib cage and my pelvis are in that neutral position, and then now my musculature can fire up to support the movement. We keep ourselves balanced. We lengthen one leg out, and then we pull it in. We lengthen one leg out, and we pull it in. So I'm going to move and change my position here. I'm going to come here so you can see the action we want and the action we don't want. So when we don't have our body properly stacked, then our hips start to compromise and we can't get our body to fire up. So shoulders down the back, soften the elbows. My shoulders are over my wrists and my knees are underneath my hips. Take a deep inhale. I find length through my body. Then I action up through my pelvic floor and my core, and then I can extend one leg long. See how supported the movement is, and my trunk does not move. Shoulder to hip stays neutral, and then my legs and my extremities can move without my spine compromising. This is where you see in people micro movements. Think of the space between each of the vertebrae of your spine. Micro movements in the spine and the pelvis are huge and causing deterioration in those discs between the spine. So all too often what I see happen is when one leg goes out, the hip goes out. Okay, see then where my knee and my hip go in alignment? That's not what we want to have happen, because then it's all happening in my spinal column. There's these minimal movements that aren't being supported by the musculature, and the bone is taking the action. So when we allow our body to be stacked and our bones to be stacked and our core and our multifidus, the abs of the spine, fire up to support, then our legs can move, arms can move without the spine and the pelvis and the bony landmarks of the body compromising the form. Coming into this position so you can see it again. I reach in. Another key thing is the second that we lift our leg up, if we maintain that neutral and our bones are stacked and supported, when we go to move our extremities, our spine and our pelvis are not actioning the item. So it's not about the height of the movement. It's about the deep connection of the movement. Length out through crown, out through the heel. Now my glute, my musculature actions the movement of my extremity and not my bones. So we stack and stay in that beautiful position into a knee fold, knee underneath the hip, best supporting our body the way that it's designed to be supported. So I hope that gives you a little bit of useful information when you're running through our classes, and actually in any movements that you do functionally in your day or in any sort of other modalities of movement that you enjoy. As always, thank you so much. If you have any questions, let us know, and hopefully we can clarify anything that still might be outstanding. Mwah.